She walked off the floor and nobody knew how bad it was. The crowd went quiet. The cameras followed her down the tunnel. 19 points, 8 assists, 5 minutes and 15 seconds left in the third quarter, and the most important player in women's basketball was gone. Again. That is the part that makes this so hard to process. Not just that Caitlin Clark got hurt, but that the word again exists in that sentence at all. Because she is 24 years old. She has been a professional basketball player for 3 seasons. And she has now spent more time in training rooms and watching games from the bench in street clothes than any player this gifted and this central to an entire sport's future should ever have to endure. At 24 years old, the conversation around Caitlin Clark should be about logo threes and no-look passes and championship windows. It should be about what she is going to accomplish over the next 15 years and whether the record she is about to set will ever be broken. Instead, the conversation after June 24, 2026 was about back injuries, cheap shots, and a league that couldn't protect its most important player on back-to-back nights against the same opponent. To understand how we got here, you have to go back to 2025. Because this story did not start on June 24th. In 2025, Caitlin Clark played 13 games, 13 out of 41. She had played every single game during 4 years at the University of Iowa. She had played all 40 regular season games during her Rookie of the Year campaign in 2024 without missing a minute due to injury. Then her sophomore WNBA season arrived and everything fell apart in sequence. Left quad sprain, 4 games missed. Left groin injury, 4 more. Right groin sprain on July 15th. That one never healed fast enough to return. And then during a workout, testing whether her groin had recovered, her ankle rolled completely forward. Bone bruise. Season over. Left quad, left groin, right groin, ankle, in that order, across 1 calendar year. She wrote about it publicly when the fever officially shut her down for the rest of that season. Disappointed isn't a big enough word, she said. She had spent hours in the gym every single day working toward a return that kept getting pushed further away, and it still wasn't enough. She talked about the fans who showed up even when she couldn't show up for them. She processed it with a maturity that went far beyond her age, and then she went back to work. The comeback felt real. She trained through the winter. She went to the national team qualification tournament in Puerto Rico in March 2026, her first game action in 8 months, and was named tournament MVP. She averaged 11.6 points and 6.4 assists while shooting over 50% from the field. She came home and people who had watched her go through 2025 allowed themselves to breathe for the first time in months. She was back. She was Caitlin Clark again. Coach White talked about it before the season opened. She said she just wanted to see Clark play with joy. Wanted to see her enjoy the opportunity in front of her and go do what she does best. Amber Cox, the Fever general manager, flew to San Juan specifically to watch Clark in that first game back in March. She described having so much excitement and anticipation to see her back on the floor and watching her deliver at such a high level while casually walking away with the MVP, because that is what this organization had been waiting for since July 2025. Not just a healthy player, a healthy Caitlin Clark. The 2026 season confirmed that she was exactly that. 21.2 points per game, 8.2 assists. Through 17 games, she was having the most efficient offensive season of her career, facilitating at a level beyond even her rookie year. The Fever finished their first 17 games at 10 wins and 7 losses. They were in the thick of the playoff race. Clark looked like herself in the truest sense, the version of herself that the rest of the league had been building game plans around since 2024. But the back was always there. Since the opening game of 2026, Clark had been managing soreness that required mid-game adjustments in the locker room. She missed a game against Portland in May. She came back. She was listed as probable on the injury report for 13 consecutive games and played through all of them anyway, because that is who she is and how she has always operated. She was not built to sit out. Then came June 24th in the Phoenix Mercury, a game that was already physical from the opening tip, a rematch following a Monday night matchup that had produced 6 technical fouls and 1 ejection. In the second quarter, Clark went down in a loose ball scramble. While she was on the floor, Phoenix forward Alyssa Thomas drove her fist into Clark's throat. No whistle, no call. The refs didn't stop play. A few possessions later, a reckless closeout drove a Mercury player's foot down onto Clark's body. Officials reviewed that play on the monitor and still didn't upgrade it to a flagrant. Clark grabbed at her back and stayed in the game. She played another 8 minutes after that. And then with 5 minutes and 15 seconds left in the third quarter, she walked to the locker room and didn't come back. The WNBA suspended Thomas the following morning, a flagrant 2-1 game, the first suspension of her 13-year career. Fever president Kelly Krauskopf put out a statement saying player safety should be paramount. Indiana's attorney general called the punishment pathetic. A sitting member of Congress used the same word. Stephanie White, Clark's head coach, had already said everything that needed to be said the night before. The fist in the throat is crazy, she told reporters. It's dangerous. We have a generational talent and a WNBA superstar who had 2 cheap shots right there that weren't called. Absolutely unacceptable. Sophie Cunningham went on her podcast days later and said players were targeting Clark and the league was doing nothing meaningful to stop it. Former WNBA player Stacey Dales wrote that what happened on June 24th was a pivotal moment in Clark's season and career. USA Today's Christine Brennan wrote that 3 seasons into the Caitlin Clark era, the WNBA remained utterly unwilling to meet the moment. The Athletic described her 2026 experience as a sizzle reel of flagrant fouls, interrupted only by troubling injuries and league-wide PR nightmares. These were not fringe voices. These were people with the most knowledge and the most context available, and every single one of them was saying the same thing in different words. Here is what the numbers show when you put them side by side. In 2024, Clark played 40 games, averaged 19.2 points and 8.4 assists, won Rookie of the Year, and broke viewership records across every broadcast network that showed her games. In 2025, she played 13 games. In 2026, through 17 games, she was averaging 21.2 points and 8.2 assists, playing at the highest level of her career. Then she got hit in the throat on national television, the refs missed it, and she walked off the floor in the third quarter. The arc of all of that is not a basketball story. It is something heavier than a basketball story. It is the story of what happens when one person matters more to a sport than the sport knows how to handle. When the attention and the money and the cultural weight she generates creates a target instead of protection. When the league that benefits most from her health is the same league that cannot figure out how to keep her on the floor. Caitlin Clark will come back. She has come back from everything that has been put in her way, and she will come back from this. She is 24 years old. She has a Nike signature deal. She has a decade minimum of basketball left if her body cooperates. She has a fan base that filled the arena even when she was scratched hours before tip-off, and then watched 13,000 empty seats materialize the moment the news dropped that she wouldn't play. But the window for a player this gifted and this central to what women's basketball is trying to become is not unlimited. Every game she misses is a game nobody gets back. Every injury she sustains in a sport that could have protected her and chose not to is a cost that compounds. She is 24 years old, and she is already 3 seasons deep into a career defined as much by the floor of an athletic training room as it is by a logo 3 from 35 feet. The Fever have a week off in the schedule before their next game on July 5th against the Las Vegas Aces. Stephanie White said they would use that time to get Clark treatment, get her healthy, get her back on the floor, and see what happens. Those last 4 words said everything about where this situation stood. See what happens. No timeline, no certainty. No guarantee that the back that has been managed since game 1 of this season does not become the injury that defines year 3, the way the groin and the ankle defined year 2. That is the tragedy. Not any single game, not any single injury. The tragedy is that Caitlin Clark at 24 should be the most untouchable story in women's sports right now. She should be building something that gets discussed for 50 years. Instead, we are here again, talking about how long she will be out and whether the league will do anything differently this time, knowing the answer before the question even finishes forming. She walked off the floor and nobody knew how bad it was. And the hardest part of all of it is that we have been in this exact moment before. We just keep hoping it is the last time. Subscribe for more.